Okay, guys, so you will learn as we get to know each other that I have a lot of friends, and I wanted to make sure on the sacred Fisk University grounds that I brought in none other than former Fisk Jubilee singer Victoria Bethel. Victoria's voice, I honestly feel, is a gift from God, and I wanted to make sure that you knew about that experience, why it's so important as a Fisk alum and student. So we are now going to talk with her about her journey with Fisk Jubilee. Hello, my name is Lauren and I am the host of Speak Up Law. And for my next feature, I have Victoria, who is a former Jubilee singer. They are world-renowned and Grammy Award-winning. So when you think of Fisk University, of course you think of the Fisk Jubilee Singers, and I had to have one to talk to. Thank you for joining me, Victoria.
Thank you for having me.
So can you first introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where are you from?
Sure, so my name is Victoria Bethel, formerly Butler, while here at Fisk. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, child of a single parent. HBCU grad. I'm currently a licensed clinical social worker and in my last semester of law school. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. I can't say very much more. Yeah.
So how did you get to Fisk in this beautiful campus?
Honestly, when I look back, it's kind of thrown all over the place. I didn't know about Fisk University, and I like to think of my mother as a pretty good historian. So I knew about Howard, right? I knew, of course, about Spelman. I grew up in Atlanta. And the AUC, I used to go to a lot of Morris Brown's football games. Hampton, I had never, and Tuskegee, right? I'd never heard about Fisk. And I went to a college fair, and I met some guy. I wasn't there to talk to him. I met some guy, Dean Chandler. At the time, I'm like, who is this guy, and why does he want me to talk? I don't even know where this school is. What? I'm really just here to see the other folks, right? And he kept saying, well, tell me your GPA and your SAT score. And I told him my scores, and I kept trying to walk away. And he's like, no. You can get this scholarship. You're eligible for this scholarship. And I'm like, okay, that's great. All right, well, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and walk this way. And he said, no, what school do you go to? And for high school, I attended DeKalb School of the Arts. And he was like, I will be there. I'm coming tomorrow to get your information, which I thought was another, you're right, okay. You'll be at my school just for me, got it. And I left, I got his information, I thought nothing else about it. And my mom was super close with my guidance counselor in high school. And she kept calling her and saying, oh, you have to talk to my child. I don't know where she's gonna go to school. She keeps talking about Spelman. And Spelman's great, but why is she putting all her eggs in one basket? She needs to explore. I'm going to Spelman, Mom. That's it. You have to get out, you have to live. Okay, so while my mother's ranting to her on the phone, I should say the legend goes, in walks Dean Chandler to talk to my guidance counselor. And she told my mom, well, I understand you're frustrated, but while you're talking, the dean from Fisk University has just walked in my office asking about your baby, which means all of her eggs are not in one basket, right, Mom? So let me give him this information. And the rest is kind of history. I didn't even know that he came there, which, to me, I'm like, well, see, he didn't even show up. He didn't come to see me. He came to get all of my credentials. And that's exactly what he did. And I got a letter in the mail, encouraging me to come and attend, visit, see how you feel about campus. Okay. I'll do that. And additionally, it said, you've been provisionally accepted. And all of the money he said that I would be eligible for was on this letter. And I thought that was odd too. I'm like, what is, these people don't know me. Like, what is happening? This is the oddest thing. But it was real. And it took my grandmother, who is a Benedict College graduate. She was born in 1926, and she is everything. She said, well, what do you mean you don't know about Fisk? I don't know about Fisk.
Oh, Grandma.
The Fisk University?
Oh.
And she's telling me about all these amazing people that went to Fisk and the history and how Fisk University encouraged, the other HBCUs and the Fisk Jubilee singers. I'm like, well, really? Oh, I have to visit this place now. Like, when are we going? And we all went to visit and came up here and fell in love with it. And I bought my Fisk hoodie, which I still own to this day. So that was probably 2004 or 2005, and I still own my hoodie, and it's in good condition. My husband tries to take it; he can't have it. But it became home just in that moment, and I knew it was where I wanted to be. And I don't know, it just felt right. When you walk on campus, you get a certain feeling. I got it here at Fisk, and I had visited Spelman. I don't even think I made it down to FAM because when I got to Fisk, I didn't want to visit any place else. One of my great aunts lived not too far from Howard, so I had been on Howard's campus. I had been to the AUC, but nothing touched me like Fisk did. And I got that letter in the mail saying, you've been provisionally accepted, and I got excited. I remember getting excited then. And I said, well, Mom, before I get excited, what does provisionally mean?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, if you do something, then they'll do something. So what is that, and what do you have to do? I said, well, Fisk sent me this letter, and it says that, I can attend, I've been accepted, and I have a scholarship, and I just need to fill out the application. She's like, what? Wait, you don't have to do anything else, you just have to fill it out. That's all. Fill out the application.
Wow.
Like, we were so excited and jumping all over the place. and that was it. I mean, but my grandmom really sold it for me. I don't even think my mom really knew about the history of this amazing place. But my grandma, she was the one, and she was so proud to tell, oh, my baby is attending Fisk University. Yeah.
My parents are very much the same way. They have their Fisk mom and dad shirts.
Yes.
There's just something about it.
It is.
So you had, I would say, one of the most unique components, in my opinion. Because of being a Fisk Jubilee singer, like, you're adding to the prestige of, you're carrying the torch from these individuals literally behind us.
And Lord bless their souls, like their stories and their journeys. It's everything. Fisk Jubilee singing is work. I'm gonna start right there at point A. It's work, and I will say that my high school, I feel like, prepared me for what college and a traveling ensemble would be, right? In high school, I went to a music and arts high school. I was a part of the show choir. So we were always doing something, and it was a magnet school. It still is a magnet school, so you have to maintain your grades. If not for DSA, I don't know how well I would have excelled at Fisk. I'll say that, because you give credit to where it's due. Literally, I show up, and I had already auditioned for the music program, so I got an additional scholarship from the music department. The Fisk Jubilee singers, though, the experience of auditioning was nothing like auditioning for the music school. There was a line wrapped around the corner. You know how with COVID, COVID happened, and then you see people lined up, and that's what auditions are like.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't have a voice, so I have to go through that experience.
Man, and it always happened during orientation week or like the week right after. So you don't really get an opportunity to prepare, if you will. I used my same songs that I used for the music school, but you meet all these different people, and there's only 16 slots. So you see how small it is here. There's only 16 slots. The music building is already tiny.
Yeah.
So with the line curving around in the building onto the outside,
Wow.
nobody's gonna check for me for one of these 16 slots. Oh my goodness. And we were all nervous. They don't split you up according to your parts or your sections. They don't split you up according to seniority. You just get there. He calls you in.
Wow. One by one?
Uh-huh. Thank you so much.
And go.
You're on your way. Like, you don't know what has happened. I remember being so nervous, and I met who was my best friend and my kid's godmom in that line. Because she was more nervous than I was. And she says I comforted her, because in my mind I'm freaking out. But she was freaking out loud. So I was able to calm her down. And we both made it into the group. She actually made it into the group as, I believe, a first soprano. I made it into the group as an alternate, but I was in an alto position. I had always sang soprano, which was different for me. So with the 16 parts, you have 2 first sopranos, 2 second sopranos, and it follows along. Yeah. And then you have an alternate if somebody can't make something. Or, you know, we did a lot of recording, so to add additional voices and whatnot. So I got in the alternate spot, and I was happy with that. But then one of my Jubilee sisters actually got sick, and things got shifted. And I will say that you have to be extremely flexible. Like I said, I had always been a soprano. I was second alto, first alto. I think I ended at a second soprano slot.
Wow.
And with me being used to being a first soprano, I think it's a little bit easier. I won't say we're lazy, because we do a lot of hard work, right? But in terms of reading sheet music, we always read the very top line. Now you're putting me in the middle of the legend. I'm like, I don't know. Am I this one? Am I that one? Okay, we'll figure it out. And so once she got sick, he threw me in there. And literally every weekend we were gone freshman year. So that's part of the reason I laugh about y'all having this impression of me, because I feel like I was never really here. Most of the friendships and relationships that I have now, they were Jubilee singers too, because we were always gone.
Together.
So we got the conversations from Dr. Kwame. Oh, we don't act like this in public. Oh, when we go such and such, oh, we're not drinking that. You know, it's like, understand, everything you do off campus gets back to campus.
Wow.
We're not living like that. So when you're here and you're at home at Fisk University, we're not doing that. Your name need not come back to me.
Wow.
So,
That puts a lot of context of like where, maybe you guys wouldn't be at some of our party engagements.
That's why we wanted to be. But we were either out of town or we really weren't allowed to. We really weren't allowed to. Because in all of that traveling, and when I tell you every weekend we were gone, every weekend we were gone, and I still had to maintain a grade point average. I have 2 scholarships.
Wow.
I can't lose my scholarships.
Yeah. That's a different.
It was a lot.
Yeah, that's a different level.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
So we were always in a different city, always. Every December, though, my birthday's December 2nd, every December the Atlanta Fisk Club would bring us to Atlanta, and we got a chance to sing at some of the oldest churches that were part, and helping out with the Underground Railroad. It's just a nostalgic experience.
Yeah.
Always meeting new people and famous people. Amy Grant, Reba McEntire.
Wow.
I mean, it was just
Now you've had some international experience too.
international, yeah, for sure, international experience. At the end of my sophomore year, going into my junior year, we were able to be a part of the Ghanaian 50th, I believe, their 50th emancipation celebration. Our director, Dr. Kwame, is Ghanaian. He attended Fisk University. He was a member of the Fisk Jubilee Singers. He's still directing the Fisk Jubilee Singers. And so we got to go there, and we knew that we were going to record. And then we spent 2 weeks there. A few weeks later, I think we came home. It was so quick. We were staying on the 4th floor in Jubilee during the summer.
Oh, wow.
And then we went to Spain. So we did all these traveling tours. And it was funny, my whole life I would say, Lord, I just want to be a traveling musician. I want to be famous. After those tours, I said, Lord, this is not the life for me. I'm tired of being on this tour bus. I'm over these long concerts, these late nights. But yeah, the international experience was nice for sure. I will say, with us doing a CD, we got a chance to do a visual album prior to Queen Bee doing the visual album. We look a little hurt on the visual album because he didn't tell us what we were doing, nor where we were going. So we would often, while we were there, dress up in our Ghanaian attire, and we would be out and about meeting with the king and meeting with the king, right? Like,
yeah.
Who has, by the way, peacocks roaming?
Wow. Okay.
Okay,
Wow.
I'm gonna sit that right there. Yeah, I'm gonna sit that right.
Let that one.
So we were used to getting out and having this beautiful attire on because we were performing somewhere. So it was a day like any other day. Put your attire on, we're going out. Okay. We get on our bus and we head out and we come to this place on the shoreline. We don't know what it is. We're not gonna sing right now. He says, y'all get out and explore. Okay. There's nothing here, right? It's this big white, almost cement looking type building. There aren't any lights. I mean, it's like an open fortress sort of looking space. And we're all together. And I will say I had the fortunate experience of my mom being a chaperone on that trip. So she was there with us. They all call her Mama Ava to this, to this day. But she's a reverend. And I just remember us looking around and her saying, is this a slave castle? And now we're all looking and we see bars. You know, now our vision has changed. Because before it's, okay, what is this open space? But now we're seeing the bars. Now we're seeing how the hallways begin very wide and very tall, but towards the end they're cowering. They're very tiny. So because I'm a visual person, I can see people trying to run and trying to escape, but they can't fit. And at the end of that hallway is ocean. You're falling off a cliff. You're in the ocean. And we found out that was the door of no return. And now it makes sense why when we approached the building, we saw flowers laid at the feet of the entrance, because the beautiful Ghanaian people who miss their family, the family they never got to know, the family they never met, the ones who died along the way, they leave flowers on a daily basis. Every day they come and they leave flowers in honor and reverence. So we figure this out, and we're all crying.
Yes.
and our guys are angry, and we're toughing through these emotions. And he says, "Get in line, we're gonna sing." Wait. We're not ready.
Yeah.
We're not ready. We're not ready. We're seeing the cannons, we're seeing the oceans, we're seeing the chain. We're not ready. How are we ready? And we're supposed to sing Negro spirituals. What? Let's get together, we're singing. And all of the emotion that you see on that visual album is real. The sadness and the hurt and the anger, it's all real. Every last bit of it. But it allowed us to feel the songs in such a way. Like I felt them before, but now you really get it, right? And I think for me, that's when I really became a visual person. Because after that, no matter what city we were in, East Coast, West Coast, North, South, when we sing these songs, I have visions all the time. I could see slaves in white wading in the water. I could see moms holding and hiding their babies. I could see all of that stuff. And I know my mom, to this day, my mom and my husband, they say, "Ooh, those faces y'all made." Ooh. You know, but for us, it's like an outer body experience. It's not just, "Oh yeah, we're singing tonight." No.
It's different.
It's so different. And Dr. Kwame, you know, he would always prepare us for things like that, but he didn't prepare us. Not in Ghana for the Sacred Journey. That's the name of the album. He did not prepare us for that. But in theory, we were prepared, right?
Wow.
And it set the tone. It set the tone going forward for sure.
Ooh. Ooh, girl. Ooh, that just.
The Elmina Castle. Yeah, I encourage everyone to go and see and feel. Just the feeling of it all. I remember saying to my mom, I never knew that I had been walking around in bondage this whole time. But when I got there and we sang, whatever it was broke. And we all felt like we had a freedom that we didn't even know we needed, right? It was an incredible experience.
I don't even know where to go. Whew. Let me take a moment to breathe through that one. I feel it. Okay.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm supposed to talk about music healing.
Yes. I don't even know how to open that up.
Well,
You want to do that next?
yeah, because I think when we had our call talking about Ghana and then Spain and how they couldn't even understand the words we were saying, but they showed up to them concerts now because they could feel it, you know, and music is ultimately, it's universal. It's the universal language. So after the Ghana experience, we went to Spain, and even though I was over the tours and like the long bus rides, and I had never seen as many sunflowers in my life. I don't want to see another sunflower to this day. That was 2007.
Wow.
Fields and fields of beautiful
Is
sunflowers.
this in Ghana?
Spain.
Spain? Really? I didn't even know they had
Beautiful
sunflowers.
sunflowers.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. I feel
But
so
I-
uncultured.
But no, and it's beautiful, and the people are beautiful. But their timing, their time zone is of course different from ours. But the way they do their concerts, like when they say an evening concert, that's like 2 a.m.
Oh, okay.
It's not 8 o'clock. Oh, we had dinner. We're going to the concert. No, we're not. It's at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh.
So we had to be prepared to sing at 2 a.m.
Wow.
Pitch black outside. There's an open stadium. People are there. Full effect. They're ready.
How did you
Right.
manage to do that?
Right. I was like, Lord, I take my prayer back. No. But I learned in that moment how powerful music was for people to care enough and pay to be here at 2 a.m. to listen to us sing English. I'm sure a lot of them didn't understand what we were saying, or even if they knew English, didn't understand the dialect that we use when we sing the Negro spirituals, but they were there. And I understood the importance of music and the value of music, and not only it being a universal language, but it has such a healing power. It's an anointing, right? It's an anointing. And so for the rest of my life, I had always intended to find a way to fuse, that's my favorite word. Whenever I go back to school, I'm like, I always want to fuse my music and my therapy together. I always wanted to find a way to do that. Even my different thesis I would write for the music department, my social work experience. How can I fuse the two together?
Wow.
Yeah.
And you've done that with your, I would say, the children or kids that you work with now?
Yeah. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Georgia. And I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing kids. And that they'll make me cry too.
Oh.
Some amazing kids who have been through awful situations. So in my field, we say CSEC, which is the commercial sexual exploitation of children. And it happens every day. And people, a lot of times, will see things and don't even realize what they see. It's a very eyes wide open, shut sort of situation. And actually, while I was here in Nashville, I worked at a hospital where I was afforded a great amount of trust from the CEO who wanted me to develop this program. And I worked with kids, mostly girls, but some boys too, but from West Tennessee and Vegas and DC and West Virginia. We started getting all these contracts. Chicago, and the amount of hurt that these kids had endured, it still makes me, it touches me.
Yeah.
It touches me, and I pray for them all the time. As their counselor, I can't reach out. I don't even know where they are.
Wow.
Right? But I pray that they are well and that they found healing. And one of the things I used to do with them, because a lot of times you realize they're just misunderstood, right? And so it offends me when I hear adults say, oh, they're just a prostitute. You don't ever call a kid a prostitute. And I will always tell them, I don't know a 12-year-old, because some of my kids were 11 and 12, by the way, who wakes up and say, oh, I'm gonna go on the corner today. I think I'm gonna be around a bunch of grown people today. And this is, nobody does that. They wanna be kids too. That experience was taken away from them. And so while talk therapy was great and fine, kids don't like to talk.
Yeah.
Adults like to talk. So that's why there's the need for play therapy and things like that. But I found a way in what I call expressive arts. And one of my mentors would tell me that. She said, you don't have to put everything it doesn't have to fit into a label. Do you. Call it expressive arts. That's fine. And it was in that time frame that I learned. You ever hear a singer and they sing, it's like, oh, they have a really nice voice. But then you meet a singer, right?
There's a difference.
It's a difference.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly feel as though the singer is singing from a place of hurt. Maybe not at that current time, right? But you can channel back to a place of hurt, pain, trauma, shame, something that emotes in that moment.
Yeah.
And all of my kids, after I would like press and ask questions and assess different things, I found out they were all super creative. So either they were, artists where they could paint and they could draw, or they loved to dance, or they could sing. They weren't singing, they were singing. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna work this out. Like, how are we gonna do this? And I was able to fuse my two loves together and help people heal. And I think that's what it's all about.
The healing.
I think it's about the healing.
So I already have asked Miss Victoria to sing, but before we get there, I have to touch on a couple things. So first, you had the Fisk Black Love experience.
The Fisk Black Love experience. I didn't fall in love at Fisk, so I don't know if that counts. A lot of people assume that we were together. We weren't. But funny story, my husband is a member of Omega Psi Phi, to all the Eta Psi brothers. When I first got to Fisk, I had a little boyfriend at home. And he called me one day frantic because I went off to school here at Fisk. He stayed in Atlanta. He was my high school sweetheart. Babe, whatever parties you go to, don't go to an Omega party. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Mind you, that was the first time they had a party our freshman year.
The hot box?
That
was hot box.
The hot box party. This was fall 05 when my husband came out online. So the irony of it all, right?
Yeah.
You can't go to an Omega party. I had said nothing to him about this party. While he's calling, probably crying and whatever else, I was getting dressed for the party because me and all my girlfriends were going. And I'm like, oh no, don't worry about it. I'm totally not going to that party. That's not even me. I was all up in that party. We walked in that hot box, which is the gym.
Yes.
HBCUs, give some context. HBCU gyms are called the hot box because it's probably no air conditioning.
Yeah, no air, no water.
No.
Yeah, it's odd.
But one of my uncles had prepared me for it, who was an HBCU grad. And he kept saying, have y'all done the hot box parties? And I'm like, what are you talking about? But then I soon learned. So I went to the party. We walked in the door and we were all like, oh my God. What is happening? No. And I left my phone in my room on purpose. So when I get back, I had all these missed calls, right? And I didn't call back. I called back the next day because I was asleep, was so exhausted. We were in that party. We had a good time. And one of the guys that came out online, I ended up marrying. It tickles me to this day. Oh my God. So no, we didn't date while we were at Fisk. We didn't talk while we were at Fisk. One of my Jubilee sisters married one of my music major brothers, Troika. They had a beautiful baby, Aria, who is almost grown. I know you've seen her. Yes. And they bought a new house and they had a housewarming and it was a BYOB party. And at the time I used to drink, what was it? X-rated. It was like a passion fruit vodka mixed something, right? Yes, with a funky bottle. I brought my own bottle, and when I walked in the house, I'm comfortable because whenever I come to town, I stay with the Hannahs. Like they're my brother and my sister. They're the Hannahs. So I stay there all the time. So I'm like, upstairs, downstairs, playing with the baby, blah blah blah. I sit down, and then I notice my bottle is missing because some guy who I don't know that graduated from Fisk, who is an Omega, was like, oh, I'm about to drink this. You're not. Put my bottle down. It was BYOB. You didn't BYOB, so you can't have my B, right? And it kind of like kicked off from there. And we started like this conversation on Facebook, and he left and went to Nassau for a while because he's from the Bahamas. He only came, so yeah, Fisk is just magical. He only came to the States to attend Fisk.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He's totally born and raised Nassau, Bahamas. And came over here. We met that year after I graduated, which was 2 years after he graduated. And the rest is kind of history. Like, it'll be 10 years. 10 years married in October, and 11 years together, October 14th. And I have a beautiful bonus daughter who has since graduated from college. She was an itty bitty thing when he was here. And we have made 3 additional beautiful Bethel babies. 7 years old, and then 5-year-old twins who are extra like their mama. And I love it. And so, yeah, life is good. So hashtag Fisk did this.
Yes.
It did, for sure.
So in a grand scheme of things, and everything that I've asked every person, is what would you tell yourself, a younger self or younger person? Give them some advice.
While they're at an HBCU, HBCU kids.
It doesn't have to be, but you can make it specific.
I would like to make it specific for my HBCU kids. Because attending an HBCU, whether it be Fisk, Spelman, TSU, you are in such a special position that you don't realize while you're in it. You have the amazing opportunity and ability to be around brilliant minds, to live in a legacy of brilliance that you won't get when you leave these. You won't get it when you leave the yard. So truly take advantage of it and know that you were set up to be great. Absolutely. There is nothing that you cannot do. I wish that when I was younger, I believed that for myself. I had my mother telling me that. I had my uncle telling me that. I don't know that I believe that. So now I'm a little bit older.
Wiser,
a little bit wiser. I have 3 of my own. And these are the things that I tell my beautiful Black princesses. Because if you know that, when you walk in these doors, the sky is the limit. I mean, literally the limit.
I love it. So, to get us comfortable, kind of, before it goes like lights, camera action, asking some questions.
Okay.
So, when you think of HBCU life, what words come to mind?
Oh, resilience, creativity, fashion, of course, fun, brilliance. I'll say talented 10th. That's 2 words.
Hey, words after words.
Legacy, history. Yeah, I think that's it.
So, from an HBCU life, what was the worst experience attending an HBCU?
Okay, this is gonna sound right. I don't have one. What? I don't. I think life is all about what you make it, right? I don't have a worst experience, but I will say.
Sounds like a worst part? Struggle parts? So I say financial aid is struggle.
I was gonna say I know friends who really struggled with financial aid to the point I thought they were gonna blow the building up. Like one of my big sisters, and most of our Fiskite family are like my brothers and sisters. I'm an only child, so to this day they're still like, oh, my big sis, my little brother, or whatever. She got so mad she went and swiped the lady's desk, Miss Egan.
Oh my gosh, she was really mad.
She was pissed. And that's when they put the little glass up after that.
Okay. So, on a positive note, Do you have a best experience?
Oh, my best experience? Probably all the partying. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but it's true.
Speak your mind.
I love the partying. I'm a PK. So like going out on the weekend. Matter of fact, my first weekend, my mom, my grandmom, and my cousin dropped me off. And that weekend, I met some older students who shall remain nameless. But these girls took us out on 2nd Avenue, and we were out on Broadway, and we went to this cowboy honky-tonk type spot, and we're dancing on tables. And had a great time.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Had a great time, but Jubilee has 12 midnight curfew.
Ladies at Jubilee.
Oh, that was so embarrassing. But yeah, we got locked out my first weekend. And so my mom, they let us stay next door with them. And my mom was like, you know, I was calling your room. Remember we used to have room phone? She's like, I'm calling your room phone. Where were you? Long story. I got locked out. We partied all weekend. I thought it was incredible. But yeah, that John Abney, wasn't it John Abney's? John Henry's.
Yes, John Henry.
They would call us out around midnight. It was so embarrassing.
They would do that to
the
us.
DJ.
Yeah.
Fisk freshman, it's almost midnight. Y'all
You
need
know
to go
you
home.
gotta go home. Oh, that was so annoying.
That was embarrassing.
But this camera was out, so I have the whole picture behind you guys on purpose.
And part of the reason why I say it's such an amazing gesture for the university to offer this room and allow this is because they do not allow pictures of this painting. Flashes, they do not allow. This is the original painting that was commissioned in 1871 by Queen Victoria herself. Right, this is an amazing, this is an original. So for the simple fact, the university said, okay, major, it's major. This is the original. She commissioned it. So we had, when we would go and do tours, we had dresses and suits like this, right? Because for some shows, you would get the portrait and we would sit just like this. And this young lady right here in this light green dress with these curly cues is Minnie Tate, and that was who I was. And I have this light green celadon looking silk satin dress. Yeah,
Wow.
Yep, and we all knew some of their stories, and we would stand and sit just like this, and then we'd say the portrait comes to life, and we would turn, and we would speak our piece, and to hear their stories of my mom was a slave, or I think for Benjamin, he was a slave. And music is what got them into Fisk University, right? So this was the traveling group, and of course, Ella Shepherd. Everything. Our library is named. She has a good history there. I think one of her great granddaughters was like our librarian for a very, very long time.
I do remember that.
Yeah. Our library is named after Aurelia Franklin, John Hope Franklin's wife. But yeah, this was something. And so when people hear Fisk Jubilee Singers and they think, oh, that was good for Fisk, I correct them quickly because the Fisk Jubilee Singers didn't just say Fisk University. The Fisk Jubilee Singers concerts around the United States, which is why we travel, right? We continue the same motif, right? Yeah. And then also starting the international tours brought money back into different funds that funded HBCUs.
Okay.
So
we're gonna make that its own separate.
Yeah, that's a whole history lesson.
Like, seriously, it's massive.
And this is why I was like, I mean, you just, I don't know it like you.
Yeah.
I don't have any of that.
I think with their tour, they saved enough money or gathered enough money to save Fisk, but then for the other HBCUs that were struggling, because these were all free kids.
Right.
They didn't have money. And a lot of them were the children of the slave masters who started the school. They didn't have money.
We were talking about that, about the slave owners.
Yes, they needed a place to go.
Yeah.
So the Fisk Jubilee Singers say Fisk and a lot of the other HBCUs. And I want to say the United Methodist Church, the African Methodist Church, they sent money to all those places and saved the schools. That's why our history is so deep.
It is.
1865,
That's crazy.
1866. Yeah. Lord, I'm out here on your word. Lord, I'm out here on your word. If I die on the battlefield, Lord, I'm out here on your word. Stand still, Jordan. Stand still, Jordan. Stand still, Jordan. Lord, I can't stand still. I got a mother in heaven. I got a mother in heaven. I got a mother in heaven. Lord, I can't stand still. Jordan River, Jordan River, Jordan River is chilly and cold. It will chill my body. It will chill my body. It will chill my body, but not my soul. Stand still, Jordan. still